close your eyes and let your breathing slow down. Feel your body sinking into comfort. Tonight, we'll explore the fascinating world of psychedelics together. These are simply substances that change how we see and feel things. You don't need to remember any of this. Just let the words wash over you like gentle waves. Let your mind drift as we journey through this curious corner of human experience. Psychedelics are a special class of substances that alter how we perceive the world around us. They change our mood and the way our minds process thoughts. Think of them as keys that unlock different rooms in the house of consciousness. For thousands of years, humans have been curious about these remarkable compounds. Let this knowledge settle softly in your mind. Indigenous cultures discovered these substances long before modern science existed. For over 4,000 years, they used them in sacred ceremonies. Imagine ancient peoples gathering around fires, seeking healing and spiritual connection. These traditions were passed down through generations like precious gifts. The wisdom of ages flows through time like a gentle river. In 1957, a British psychiatrist named Humphrey Osmond created the word psychedelic. He combined Greek words meaning mind and revealing. Before this moment, there was no single word for these remarkable substances. Language shapes how we understand our world. Sometimes, one person's idea changes everything. The most well-known psychedelics have familiar names. LSD, which scientists call lysergic acid diethylamide. Psilocybin, found in magic mushrooms. And DMT, or dimethyltryptamine. Each one is like a different instrument in nature's orchestra. They all play unique melodies in the mind. A Swiss chemist named Albert Hofmann first created LSD in his laboratory in 1938. He was studying ergot, a fungus that grows on rye grain. Hofmann had no idea what he had discovered. Sometimes the most important discoveries happen by accident. The universe has its own timing for revelations. Picture more than 180 different species of mushrooms scattered across the earth. Each one contains psilocybin, nature's own mind-altering compound. These mushrooms grow in forests, fields, and meadows around the world. Nature has been brewing these chemicals for millions of years. The earth itself seems to dream in mysterious ways. Deep in the desert grows a small, round cactus called peyote. Inside this humble plant lives mescaline, another psychedelic substance. Native American tribes discovered its power long ago. They used it in sacred rituals to connect with the spiritual world. The desert keeps many secrets in its quiet embrace. During the middle of the last century, scientists became fascinated with psychedelics. They studied them carefully, hoping to understand how they might help people heal. Research laboratories hummed with activity and discovery. For a brief time, the future seemed full of possibilities. Knowledge bloomed like flowers in spring. Then, in the 1970s, many countries decided these substances were too dangerous. Governments classified them as controlled substances, heavily restricting their use. The age of open research came to an end. Sometimes society pulls back from what it doesn't yet understand. Fear often walks hand in hand with the unknown. Scientists discovered that psychedelics look remarkably similar to serotonin. Serotonin is a chemical messenger that naturally lives in our brains. This similarity explains why psychedelics can affect our thoughts and feelings so powerfully. Nature often uses similar shapes for different purposes. The body recognizes these substances like old friends. These substances work by attaching to special receivers in our brains called 5-HT2A receptors. When they connect, they change how our neurons communicate with each other. Think of it like changing the station on a radio. Suddenly, different music begins to play. The brain starts singing in new harmonies. LSD is incredibly potent because it binds so tightly to brain receptors. Even tiny amounts can create profound experiences. Imagine a key that fits perfectly into a lock. Once it turns, the door to altered perception swings wide open. Small things sometimes have enormous effects. When psilocybin enters your body, it transforms into psilocin. Psilocin is the actual compound that creates the hallucinogenic effects. Your body acts like a careful chemist, converting one substance into another. This transformation happens naturally and automatically. The body knows how to unlock nature's secrets. Here's something remarkable. DMT actually exists naturally in the human body. Scientists have found it in our blood, urine, and even brain tissue. But they still don't know why it's there or what it does. Sometimes our own bodies contain mysteries we haven't solved. We are walking libraries of undiscovered knowledge. Psychedelics can make you see colors that aren't really there. They can make you hear sounds that exist only in your mind. Time might seem to slow down or speed up dramatically. Reality becomes fluid, like paint mixing on an artist's palette. The ordinary world transforms into something extraordinary. Sometimes these substances create synesthesia. This means you might hear colors or see sounds. Imagine tasting the color blue or feeling the texture of music. Your senses start talking to each other in ways they normally don't. The brain becomes a symphony where every instrument plays together. Brain scans show that psychedelics increase connections between different brain regions. Parts of your mind that usually work separately start communicating. It's like opening doors between rooms in a house. Suddenly, thoughts can travel paths they've never explored before. The mind discovers new highways of possibility. These substances quiet something called the default mode network. This is the part of your brain that thinks about yourself and worries about the future. When this network calms down, the constant chatter in your mind grows quiet. Peace settles over your thoughts like snow falling gently on a landscape. Inner silence can be profoundly healing. This quieting can lead to experiences of ego dissolution. The boundaries of who you think you are start to soften. Some people describe feeling at one with everything around them. The separation between self and world begins to fade. You might feel like a drop of water returning to the ocean. Most psychedelics begin working within 20 to 90 minutes of taking them. The onset is usually gentle, like dawn slowly brightening the sky. First, you might notice subtle changes in perception. Then, the effects gradually deepen and expand. Nature prefers gradual transitions over sudden shocks. The journey can last anywhere from several hours to more than a day. Different substances have their own natural rhythms and timing. LSD might accompany you for 8 to 12 hours. Psilocybin typically lasts 4 to 6 hours. Each substance has its own schedule and pace. Your body might respond with physical changes too. Your heart rate may increase slightly. Your pupils might dilate, letting in more light. Some people experience mild nausea at first. These are simply signs that your system is adjusting to something new. The psychological effects span a wide spectrum of human experience. You might feel waves of euphoria and deep introspection. Sometimes anxiety or paranoia can arise. Emotions become more intense, like turning up the volume on feelings. The heart opens to both joy and vulnerability. Scientists have discovered something called set and setting. Your mindset and environment profoundly influence your experience. A calm, safe space tends to promote positive journeys. Anxiety or chaos in your surroundings can lead to difficult experiences. The container shapes the contents in powerful ways. Unlike many other substances, psychedelics typically don't create addiction. People don't develop physical dependence or withdrawal symptoms. The brain doesn't crave them the way it might crave other drugs. This suggests they work through different pathways than addictive substances. Nature seems to have built in certain safeguards. A small number of users report something called HPPD. This stands for Hallucinogen Persisting Perception Disorder. They continue to see visual disturbances long after the experience ends. These persistent changes remind us that psychedelics can have lasting effects. Every powerful tool comes with responsibilities and risks. When used in controlled, supervised settings, psychedelics have a relatively good safety profile. Medical professionals can monitor vital signs and provide support. The controlled environment reduces many potential risks. Safety often comes from preparation and professional guidance. Wisdom lies in approaching powerful experiences with respect. Research suggests these substances might permanently increase personality openness. People become more receptive to new experiences and ideas. They may develop greater appreciation for art, music, and beauty. The mind seems to retain some of its expanded perspectives. Growth sometimes happens in sudden leaps rather than gradual steps. Sometimes people experience what's called a bad trip. Intense fear, panic, or negative emotions can arise. These challenging experiences can feel overwhelming in the moment. However, they often resolve as the substance wears off. Even difficult journeys can lead to valuable insights with proper support. After decades of restriction, scientists are studying psychedelics again. Research institutions around the world are conducting careful studies. They're exploring how these substances might help treat mental health conditions. The wheel of scientific inquiry has turned full circle. Sometimes we need to revisit old ideas with new wisdom. Researchers are particularly excited about treating depression and anxiety. They are also studying PTSD and addiction. Early results suggest psychedelics might help where traditional treatments have failed. Hope emerges from unexpected places. Science continues to unlock new possibilities for healing. Clinical studies show remarkable results for treatment-resistant depression. Some people who haven't responded to any other treatments find relief. The effects can last for months after a single session. This suggests psychedelics might reset certain brain patterns. Sometimes healing happens in ways we don't fully understand yet. Psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy combines medicine with therapy. Trained therapists guide people through their experiences. The combination of chemical and psychological support creates a powerful healing environment. Two streams of healing flow together into one river. Integration of different approaches often yields the best results. Scientists have noticed that mystical experiences predict better outcomes. When people have profound spiritual feeling journeys, they tend to improve more. The sense of connection and transcendence seems to promote healing. The human spirit responds to experiences of the sacred. Mystery and medicine dance together in ways we're still learning to understand. Psychedelics have deeply influenced human creativity and culture. Artists have created paintings inspired by altered states of consciousness. Musicians have composed songs that capture psychedelic experiences. Writers have penned books exploring expanded awareness. Human creativity flows like water, taking the shape of whatever container it finds. The 1960s counterculture movement brought psychedelics into mainstream awareness. Young people explored these substances, seeking personal and social transformation. This period changed music, art, fashion, and social attitudes. Sometimes, a single generation can shift the entire cultural landscape. Change often comes in waves rather than steady streams. Philosophers and scientists discuss psychedelics when exploring consciousness itself. These substances raise fundamental questions about the nature of reality. What is real? How do we know what we know? Can consciousness exist in different forms? The deepest questions often have no easy answers. Literature and art inspired by psychedelics often explore expanded consciousness. Themes of unity, spirituality, and interconnectedness appear frequently. Artists try to capture ineffable experiences in words, colors, and sounds. The attempt to express the inexpressible drives much creative work. Beauty emerges from the struggle to communicate the incommunicable. Music festivals celebrating psychedelic culture continue around the world. People gather to experience art, music, and community. These events create temporary cities devoted to expanded consciousness. Humans naturally seek shared experiences of transcendence. Community amplifies individual experiences into collective celebration. Psychedelics enhance something called neuroplasticity. This is your brain's ability to form new connections between neurons. Think of it like building new roads in a city. Suddenly, thoughts and ideas can travel along paths that didn't exist before. The mind becomes more flexible and adaptable. The increased connectivity can spark novel thoughts and creative insights. Brain regions that normally don't communicate start sharing information. Artists often report breakthrough moments during or after psychedelic experiences. Innovation often comes from unexpected combinations of existing ideas. Creativity loves to play in the spaces between categories. Brain imaging reveals that psychedelics reduce hierarchical organization. Your brain usually has a clear chain of command. Psychedelics make this structure more democratic. Different brain areas get equal voting rights in determining your experience. Sometimes the best decisions come from collaborative rather than top-down processes. Scientists describe a state of global functional connectivity. This means your entire brain becomes hyper-connected. Information flows freely in all directions, like water finding its level. The usual barriers between different mental processes dissolve. Unity emerges from the breakdown of artificial separations. These substances can temporarily disintegrate normal brain networks. The patterns that usually organize your thoughts scatter and reform. It's like shaking a snow globe and watching the pieces settle in new arrangements. Sometimes destruction precedes reconstruction. Chaos can be the birthplace of new order. Most psychedelics work as agonists at serotonin 2A receptors. An agonist is like a key that not only fits the lock, but also turns it. When psychedelics bind to these receptors, they activate them fully. This activation cascades through neural networks, changing perception and mood. Small molecular events can have profound experiential consequences. The structural similarity to serotonin helps explain how psychedelics work. Your brain recognizes these substances as familiar. However, similarity doesn't always guarantee effectiveness. The molecular shape must be precisely right to create the desired effect. Nature is exquisitely sensitive to even tiny differences in molecular structure. Your body breaks down DMT using enzymes called monoamine oxidases. These enzymes work so quickly that DMT barely has time to reach your brain. This is why DMT must be smoked or combined with enzyme inhibitors to be effective. Your body's natural defenses can sometimes work against intended experiences. Timing is everything in molecular interactions. LSD binds to serotonin receptors in a unique way. It gets stuck in the receptor like a key broken off in a lock. This explains why LSD experiences last so much longer than other psychedelics. The molecule simply won't let go until your body forces it out. Persistence can be found even at the molecular level. The molecular changes in your brain can alter mood-regulating pathways. These pathways normally maintain emotional balance. Psychedelics temporarily reorganize these systems. The changes might persist even after the substance leaves your body. Sometimes, brief interventions can have lasting effects on complex systems. Indigenous communities around the world have preserved ancient wisdom about psychedelics. They pass down knowledge through oral traditions and ceremonial practices. This wisdom includes not just how to use these substances, but when and why. Traditional cultures often understand holistic approaches that modern science is just beginning to appreciate. Wisdom and knowledge are not always the same thing. In the Amazon rainforest, people brew a drink called ayahuasca. This tea contains DMT along with plants that help it work in the body. Indigenous shamans lead ceremonies that can last all night. Participants seek healing, guidance, and spiritual connection. Ancient practices continue to thrive in our modern world. Some countries like Brazil and Peru legally recognize religious psychedelic use. They protect indigenous rights to practice traditional ceremonies. These legal protections acknowledge the spiritual and cultural value of these practices. Sometimes laws can evolve to respect ancient wisdom. Legal frameworks can adapt to honor different ways of knowing. Recently, some cities and states have decriminalized psilocybin. This means people won't be arrested for personal use. Decriminalization represents a shift away from punitive drug policies. Society is slowly reconsidering its approach to consciousness-altering substances. Change often happens gradually, one community at a time. Legal status varies dramatically across different countries and cultures. What's legal in one place might be heavily penalized in another. These differences reflect varying cultural attitudes toward consciousness and individual freedom. Human societies have always disagreed about what should be permitted or prohibited. Cultural diversity includes diversity in law and custom. How your body processes psychedelics determines their effects. Scientists study absorption, distribution, metabolism, and excretion. Each substance follows its own unique journey through your system. Your liver, kidneys, and other organs all play roles in this complex dance. The body is like a sophisticated chemical processing plant. LSD absorbs quickly through your digestive system. It travels through your bloodstream and crosses into your brain. Your liver slowly breaks it down over many hours. This gradual metabolism explains LSD's notably long duration. Even tiny amounts can have profound effects when they reach the right places. Psilocybin undergoes rapid conversion to psilocin after you ingest it. This transformation happens in your digestive system and liver. Psilocin is the actual compound that creates the psychedelic experience. Your body acts as a natural pharmacy, converting inactive ingredients into active medicines. Biological processes can be more sophisticated than any human laboratory. DMT presents a unique challenge for oral consumption. Enzymes in your stomach and liver destroy it before it can reach your brain. Indigenous people solved this problem by combining DMT with monoamine oxidase inhibitors. These natural chemicals protect DMT long enough for it to work. Traditional knowledge sometimes surpasses modern understanding. How you take a psychedelic substance affects when and how intensely it works. Smoking or injection work fastest, but last shortest. Eating takes longer, but provides gentler, longer experiences. The route of administration is like choosing different paths up the same mountain. Each path offers its own unique journey and perspective. Most classic psychedelics have remarkably low toxicity. Fatal overdoses from LSD or psilocybin are extremely rare. This doesn't mean they're completely safe, but they're less toxic than many common substances. Alcohol and tobacco cause far more deaths each year. Toxicity and harmfulness aren't always the same thing. The real risks usually aren't physical, but psychological. Psychedelics can worsen existing mental health conditions. People with certain psychiatric disorders should avoid these substances. Understanding your own mental health history is crucial for making safe decisions. Self-knowledge is the foundation of harm reduction. Challenging experiences can arise, but aren't usually life-threatening. Panic, fear, and anxiety might feel overwhelming in the moment. However, these feelings typically resolve as the substance wears off. Having supportive people nearby can make all the difference. Temporary difficulties don't always indicate permanent problems. Education and harm reduction practices dramatically improve safety. Knowing what to expect reduces anxiety and fear. Understanding proper dosages prevents accidental overdoses. Having a trusted person present provides security and support. Preparation and knowledge are the best protections against adverse experiences. Psychedelics can enhance emotional processing during therapy sessions. Feelings that are normally buried might surface and become accessible. Therapists can help people work through these emotions constructively. The substances seem to soften psychological defenses. Sometimes we need help accessing our own inner wisdom. These substances might help people access repressed memories and emotions. Traumatic experiences sometimes get locked away in the unconscious mind. Psychedelics can provide a safe key to these hidden chambers. Processing old wounds in a therapeutic setting can promote healing. The past doesn't have to determine the future. Many users report enhanced creativity and problem-solving abilities. Complex problems might suddenly seem to have clear solutions. Artists and scientists sometimes have breakthrough insights during experiences. The enhanced brain connectivity might allow novel combinations of ideas. Innovation often comes from seeing familiar things in completely new ways. Ego dissolution experiences can lead to profound personal transformation. When the boundaries of self temporarily disappear, people often gain new perspectives. Problems that seemed insurmountable might suddenly appear manageable. The experience of unity can reduce feelings of isolation and separation. Sometimes losing yourself is the best way to find yourself. These substances show potential for enhancing mindfulness and reducing mental distress. The increased present moment awareness can persist long after the experience ends. People often report feeling more connected to themselves and others. Mindfulness practices and psychedelic experiences seem to enhance each other. Different paths to awareness can converge and amplify each other. Integration therapy helps people make sense of psychedelic experiences. Trained therapists guide the process of understanding and applying insights. The goal is to translate profound experiences into practical life changes. Without integration, even powerful experiences might fade without lasting benefit. Insight without action is like a seed without soil. Meditation and journaling are common post-experience practices. Writing about the experience helps solidify memories and insights. Meditation can help maintain the expanded awareness discovered during the journey. These practices create bridges between extraordinary and ordinary consciousness. Daily practices help preserve temporary insights. Researchers explore psychedelics' role in end-of-life care. People facing death often struggle with existential anxiety and fear. Psychedelic experiences can provide profound acceptance and peace. The sense of unity and transcendence helps people approach death with less fear. Sometimes, the most profound healing happens when facing our deepest fears. These substances might offer new perspectives on mortality. The experience of ego dissolution can feel like a preview of death. This preview can reduce death anxiety and increase life appreciation. Understanding impermanence paradoxically makes life feel more precious. Accepting endings can make beginnings more meaningful. Scientists investigate whether psychedelics enhance creativity and innovation. The enhanced connectivity between brain regions might spark novel ideas. Artists, musicians, and inventors report creative breakthroughs during experiences. However, more research is needed to understand these effects fully. Creativity remains one of humanity's most beautiful mysteries. Psilocybin mushrooms can be grown sustainably with minimal environmental impact. They require simple materials like straw, wood chips, and basic nutrients. Growing them doesn't harm forests or deplete natural resources. Sustainable cultivation respects both human needs and environmental health. The best solutions often work with nature rather than against it. Many plant-based psychedelics grow wild with minimal human intervention. Peyote cacti, ayahuasca vines, and psychedelic mushrooms thrive in their natural environments. These plants have been producing psychoactive compounds for millions of years. Nature seems to have its own reasons for creating consciousness-altering substances. The earth holds many secrets in its quiet places. Plant-based psychedelics generally have lower environmental footprints than synthetic drugs. They don't require complex chemical manufacturing processes. Solar energy, rainfall, and soil provide everything they need to grow. Working with natural processes is often more sustainable than trying to replace them. Simple solutions can be the most elegant ones. Sustainable practices help protect the species that produce psychedelics. Over-harvesting can threaten wild populations of these important plants. Responsible cultivation and harvesting ensure these species survive for future generations. Conservation and consciousness expansion can work hand in hand. Protecting sources protects possibilities. Ethical guidelines are emerging for psychedelic cultivation and use. These principles emphasize respect for indigenous knowledge and environmental protection. Fair trade practices ensure that traditional communities benefit from their wisdom. Ethical frameworks help prevent exploitation of people and places. Good intentions require good systems to become good outcomes. Psychedelics are sometimes used in group settings for shared experiences. Participants often report feeling deeply connected to others in their group. The sense of unity extends beyond individual consciousness to collective experience. Shared journeys can create lasting bonds between people. Community experiences can amplify individual insights. Throughout history, influential figures have advocated for psychedelic exploration. Writers, scientists, and philosophers have shared their experiences and insights. They've argued that these substances could transform individuals and society. Bold voices often prepare the way for broader acceptance. Individual courage can shift collective understanding. Scientific research is challenging the stigma surrounding psychedelics. Peer-reviewed studies provide evidence of therapeutic benefits. This evidence slowly changes public opinion and policy. Science has the power to transform fear into understanding. Facts can overcome fiction when given enough time and repetition. Modern spiritual and wellness movements increasingly include psychedelic exploration. People seek direct experiences of transcendence and connection. These movements bridge ancient wisdom and contemporary psychology. Spirituality continues to evolve and adapt to new knowledge. The human search for meaning takes many forms across time. Users frequently report feeling interconnected with all life during experiences. The boundaries between self and world seem to dissolve. This sense of unity can persist long after the substance wears off. Feeling connected to something larger than ourselves appears to be deeply healing. Unity experiences seem to be hardwired into human consciousness. The prohibition of psychedelics emerged from legal, cultural, and political factors. Fear of social change and moral panic contributed to restrictive policies. These policies weren't necessarily based on scientific evidence about harm. Sometimes laws reflect social anxieties more than rational analysis. Understanding history helps us make better decisions about the future. Decriminalization efforts focus on reducing penalties for personal use. The goal is to treat substance use as a health issue rather than a criminal one. These efforts recognize that imprisonment doesn't effectively address substance problems. Compassion can be more effective than punishment for creating positive change. Healing approaches often work better than punitive ones. Full legalization would require comprehensive regulatory frameworks. Safety protocols, quality control, and distribution systems would need development. Professional training and licensing would ensure qualified practitioners. Building good systems takes time, patience, and careful planning. Infrastructure must precede implementation for success. Ethical considerations include protecting vulnerable populations. Some people shouldn't use psychedelics due to mental health conditions. Informed consent requires full understanding of risks and benefits. Protecting people sometimes means saying no to certain requests. True care includes appropriate boundaries and limitations. Research ethics prioritize participant safety above all other considerations. Studies include careful screening and ongoing medical monitoring. Researchers must balance scientific curiosity with participant well-being. The knowledge we gain must never come at the expense of human welfare. Good science requires good ethics as its foundation. Technological advances enhance our understanding of how psychedelics work. Brain imaging shows real-time changes in neural activity. Computer models help predict how different substances might affect consciousness. Technology and consciousness research are evolving together. New tools often reveal new mysteries along with new answers. Virtual reality is being explored as a complement to psychedelic therapy. VR environments can enhance or guide psychedelic experiences. The combination might make therapy more effective and safer. Technology can amplify natural experiences when used thoughtfully. Innovation often comes from combining existing tools in creative ways. Psychedelic research opens new paths for understanding consciousness itself. These substances provide unique windows into how awareness works. They might help solve some of the deepest mysteries about human experience. Consciousness remains one of the final frontiers of scientific exploration. The most important questions often have the most elusive answers. Collaboration between scientists, therapists, and indigenous communities shapes future practices. Traditional knowledge and modern research can inform each other. Respectful partnerships honor different ways of knowing. The best solutions often emerge from diverse perspectives working together. Wisdom comes from many sources and benefits from integration. Researchers are exploring personalized psychedelic medicine. Genetic factors and psychological profiles might predict individual responses. Customized approaches could maximize benefits while minimizing risks. Personalization could make these powerful tools safer and more effective. Individual differences matter in medicine as in all areas of life. Education and awareness efforts bridge the gap between research and public understanding. Clear, accurate information helps people make informed decisions. Public education reduces fear and stigma based on misconceptions. Knowledge is the antidote to fear and prejudice. Understanding grows through patient, persistent education efforts. Cross-disciplinary collaborations integrate psychedelic knowledge into broader frameworks. Neuroscience, psychology, anthropology, and spirituality all contribute insights. These diverse perspectives create a more complete understanding. Complex phenomena require multiple lenses to see clearly. Truth emerges from the intersection of different ways of knowing. Psychedelics offer unique insights into the interconnectedness of mind, body, and environment. These substances reveal how deeply connected all aspects of experience really are. the boundaries we normally perceive might be more fluid than we realize. Understanding interconnection can change how we relate to ourselves and the world. Separation and connection are both real and illusory at the same time. Future policies will need to balance personal freedom with public health concerns. Individual rights to consciousness exploration must be weighed against potential social costs. Creating good policies requires wisdom, compassion, and careful consideration. The best policies serve both individual welfare and collective good. Balance is often more difficult than extremes, but usually more sustainable. Growing understanding and acceptance hold promise for a more informed society. As knowledge replaces fear, more compassionate policies become possible. Education and research continue to expand our understanding of these remarkable substances. Progress often happens slowly, but can accelerate when conditions are right. Hope lies in the patient accumulation of knowledge and understanding. The journey through psychedelic knowledge comes to a close. Like all journeys, it reveals both answers and new questions. These substances continue to puzzle and fascinate researchers around the world. Perhaps the greatest insight is that consciousness itself remains beautifully mysterious. Rest now, knowing that human curiosity continues to explore the depths of experience. Let sleep carry you gently into your own inner landscape.